Good morning, everyone. This one is coming out pretty early. I couldn't really get a lot of sleep last night. I've been up since 4:30. It's currently 7 a.m. So today is October 5th, day 5 of the 30-day challenge. Today's video is going to be all about meditation and why you should meditate or give it a try. So, as far as I understand, meditation is essentially just a practice of bringing awareness to the mind and to the self. And so there's a variety of ways that you can do it. And I think, for most people, the most common understanding of meditation is that you sit still somewhere, legs crossed, and, maybe you chant like Om or whatever. But it's important to know that there are a variety of methods of meditation and that they have different outcomes. For the sake of this video, I'm talking about the meditation that you can find in the Headspace app. Okay, this is an app that when I used it a few years ago had lots of different meditations for daily practice, for very lengthy sessions, and for sleep and whatnot. And I haven't checked out the app in a while, but I know that it has, kind of grown and evolved from what it used to be. So, a little backstory, around 2017, while kind of living on my own for the first time in Edmonton, I was living with someone who became a friend, and both him and myself were very interested in learning and growing, and, we didn't quite know that at the time. But through conversation, we kind of figured that out about one another. So I don't know exactly what got me into meditation. I mean, I've always been spiritual and religious. I grew up Muslim and still am Muslim. And so there was always this connection to, something kind of above, some sort of connection to, let's call it the universe or to God or to one another. And so I always had that bit of kind of spirituality within me. So maybe that kind of led me down the route of meditation just to give it a try, but maybe it was something I heard in a podcast. But generally speaking, meditation is highly spoken of. And it's very likely I probably heard from Tim Ferriss that like one of the common traits that all of his guests on his podcast have is that they spend, 10 to 60 minutes every morning meditating. And from what he was saying, it seemed like that was essentially just, finding a place to sit where it's quiet, putting on a 10-minute timer and then just sitting there and doing nothing, letting your thoughts flow through you, kind of pass through your brain, observing them, and then just releasing them. So, again, rewind to 2017, I'm probably around 21-ish years old, and so I find the Headspace app and they have like a 7-day or 30-day trial, whatever it was back then. And I give that a go, 10 minutes a day, whatever. And it went really well. And around the same time, I also joined the meditation student group at the U of A. Yes, there was one back then. I don't know if it still exists, but, we'd have like weekly meetings where, we'd chat for a bit and then we'd spend, maybe 20, 30 minutes meditating. Anyways, why I brought up my friend was that when it came time that the trial ended, I brought up to him that, like, oh, I've been trying meditation. It's really cool. I really enjoy it, but, I can't afford this membership. It's just extra money that I don't need to spend, so I just won't continue doing it. He kind of took that, heard it, and said, oh, I'll give you a 1-year membership, and, or something like that. And, that really changed the direction of my life for sure, right? What eventually happened was that I did their kind of 90-day challenge. So I meditated every single day consecutively for 90 days, about 10 minutes, right? So 90 times 10, 900 minutes of meditation. Not a whole lot of hours, but still, the impact of that lasted me for easily 5-6 years, where essentially what it did for me was that it created a lot of mental space. The space was, essentially you become a little less reactive. Good term used called non-reactive. What does that mean? That doesn't mean that you don't just react to anything at all. It just means that when you meditate, you give your mind some space to clear it up. And so you can choose what your first reaction is, right? You're not in this emotional state. You're not in this survival state. You're not in kind of whatever's going on in the background in the past. When you meditate, it brings your mind to the present and allows you to more easily make conscious choices that you're choosing, choices that maybe reflect who you are in the current moment rather than, who you were, who you want to be, if you're really kind of into it. And so that was probably one of the main benefits. It made me a little less reactive, and I could kind of gauge how I needed to respond to different situations. I could also gauge, why is this person behaving in a particular way? What is a good way to interact with this? And, what is the ideal way? And, what path do I actually want to choose for how to react to this? Another benefit that I found from meditation was just the kind of mental clarity it provides you. I would really attribute the 90 consecutive days of meditation to, what I would contribute to it is that it made it so that there was less noise in my mind and less, I'm worried about what's happened yesterday or in the past, what's potentially going to happen throughout this day, or something else that happened, or the future. And it brought me more into the present moment. Why is that something you want? Well, particularly, for the work I'm doing right now as a teacher, but just in general as a person, you want to be in the present moment because, that's all you have really. You don't know if you have the future, and the past is gone. You can't go back to it. All you really have is this present moment. And, unlike the cliches, you want to make sure that you're here for it. You're present, right? You're consciously active and in this moment and engaging with, the world around you. So like right now I'm engaging with a camera. There's no script here. This is all just stream of consciousness, translate this to communicating with people, right? I'm sure we all know, the shared experience and the modern experience of you're trying to talk to someone and they're distracted, whether it's by their phone or you can just see on their face, they're just not listening to you. They're not present. Another one really terrible, they're instead of listening to you, they're waiting for their turn to speak, right? They're not engaged with the conversation. They're not engaged with you. They're not engaged with the present moment, right? And there's a lot of reasons why people are like this, but what I found meditation did for me was it brought me to this present moment. It cleared out the junk in my mind. And there's a lot of really good kind of scientific evidence behind this too, that your brain needs time to process events. It needs time to process emotions. It needs time to process. And so if you're always on your phone, if you're always on a device, if you're always distracted, talking to people, reading, listening to music, whatever, you don't get this clear mental break to just allow yourself to process things. Essentially what's happening is that you're always running different tasks in your brain, and obviously things are happening to you nonstop. You're interacting with information and with external stimuli. So when you don't give yourself that time to pull back, slow things down, calm your nervous system, and realign yourself, essentially you start operating in ways that you're not really consciously aware of and maybe aren't even choosing, right? You become reactive. And so that's why I would encourage everyone to, give meditation a chance, whether it's using the Headspace app or whatever app, or really just spending 10 minutes every day to allow yourself to do nothing. And, don't make a goal out of it, right? Just sit there 10 minutes, put a timer on, see what comes up, see what your brain brings up, see if you can even do it. Because I'm assuming a lot of you, depending on your age, depending on your kind of need for a device, for distraction, you just won't be able to sit for 10 minutes still, relatively speaking, still, and not distract yourself with something. Some of you will find it unbearable. Some of you will find it like super easy, and everyone will be somewhere in between that. But it does get better with time, right? The more opportunities you give your brain to process, to allow itself to clean itself out, the better you get at just being able to sit still, silently, and just be in this present moment. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Or if you've meditated in the past, tell me about your experience.